So what I'm here to say is that overcoming sugar and carb cravings is not about willpower. It's really about biochemistry. And it's about attending to the underlying root causes of the cravings that are driving them. So what we really want to do is understand exactly what's driving these cravings. And once we understand really what's driving the cravings, we have a much better chance at actually eradicating them and getting control over them. So I do want to say that crushing sugar and carb cravings is definitely possible. So let's first, sort of jump into what are some of those root causes of, that really drive these cravings to begin with. So certainly, number one, restrictive diets. I think that what ends up happening is that we may undereat, in a very restrictive diet. We're not really fueling ourselves to really fuel our energy needs, our energy demands over the course of the day. It leaves us feeling very fatigued, very exhausted. And when we're feeling that real sense of exhaustion, our body is really just triggering a real drive for carbohydrate, which is really the quickest form of energy that we can get. So we're really looking for sugar, for carbohydrates that give us that rapid energy that we need to help bring our energy levels up. So restrictive dieting is certainly a real root cause here. Poor sleep. This is a biggie. So especially we're dealing with some hormonal issues. Sleep can be really difficult. Just getting not enough sleep and not getting enough good quality deep REM sleep. And what happens when we're not getting enough sleep? Again, there's actually an impact on our satiety, our hunger and satiety hormones, where we have higher levels of the hormone that actually trigger hunger. So we feel hungrier when we don't get enough sleep. And we also have lower levels of the hormone that actually helps us feel full from the food we eat. So not only do we have higher level, we're feeling hungrier. When we do eat, we have less sense of satiety from that meal. So this is kind of a double-edged, this is like kind of a double whammy for us, where it ends up, contributing to eating more than we might not necessarily need, and it's directly related to hormonal imbalances, related to lack of good quality sleep. And if you think about it, if you wake up in the morning and you haven't really had a great night's sleep and you're feeling sluggish all day long, again, you're going to be looking for those really simple carbohydrates that are going to deliver that rapid energy to help pick you up, energize your brain, energize your body. And this over time, contributes to ongoing sugar and carb cravings. So sleep is definitely something that we want to look into when it comes to getting more control over our cravings. Nutrient deficiencies. So, this really goes hand in hand with restrictive diets. If we're not taking in enough of the nutrients that our body needs, again, we're going to be feeling tired. We're not getting the nourishment we need to meet the demands of our body and our brains. So restrictive dieting, eating a lot of the same foods over and over again. That's definitely going to contribute to nutrient deficiencies, just not getting enough variety in our diet. And also, just not eating enough good nutrient dense food, and really relying on more processed foods that have a lot of additives and preservatives, don't really have a lot of nutrient density. So these are all things that are going to contribute to nutrient deficiencies that can trigger us to want to get more sugar and carbs to really kind of give us that energy boost that we need. Next, imbalances in the gut. So this is a really big one. And so this is caused by inflammation, systemic inflammation. It is caused by, just a condition called dysbiosis, where we just have more of the kind of the bad bugs, the bad bacteria in our gut. It's in higher counts than the more beneficial, healthy bacteria in our gut. And so this can actually trigger issues with our insulin levels, and it really can contribute to sugar and carb cravings. Next, stress and adrenal imbalances. So, over time, if we have a lot of stress, really chronic stress, we're probably going to have higher levels of cortisol in our body. It's going to trigger issues in our adrenals. And so over time, with these high levels of cortisol, it actually does trigger us to want to eat more carbohydrate. If you think about the fight or flight response when we used to have to run from tigers to survive, and our cortisol levels would go up, we were actually needing some really quick energy to fight or flee. And of course, these days we're not, we're sitting in traffic, and that's our stress. Or we have work stress. We're not necessarily needing to fight or flee like we used to, but we still have the same mechanisms in place, and that's that cortisol response that's going to, actually going to create that need again for that really quick energy, that carbohydrate and sugar. So overcoming or managing stress is going to be really, really important to overcoming sugar and carb cravings. Hypothyroidism. This is one, certainly that may be really common that you're experiencing. And so when you are hypothyroid and your thyroid is underactive, your body really isn't producing enough of some critical hormones. Your cells just aren't very sensitive to glucose. And because your cells don't get the glucose they need, your adrenals will again release that cortisol I just mentioned to actually increase the amount of glucose available to them. So as long as you're keeping yourself in a sugar binge, then crash roller coaster, your thyroid is going to struggle to work properly. What ends up happening, sugar cravings are common in hypothyroidism because the cells literally are starved of sugar, and we need a certain amount of our thyroid hormone T3 to just actually store sugar in our liver. So it's really common for us to actually have sugar cravings with hypothyroidism. And so, people who have hypothyroidism tend to have lower hypoglycemia episodes, again, because they're, they just tend to have lower levels of glucose. So they're going to crave that carbohydrate to actually pick up their blood sugars, and this is very common. And then last but not least, blood sugar fluctuations. So this is really what I want to focus on today as being a root cause of our sugar and carb cravings. And they actually, in some ways, overlap with some of the other causes that we've sort of addressed just now. But if we can really get control over our blood sugar levels, we really have a much better chance of getting control over our carb and sugar cravings.